This series is being supported by Hipshot Products, US-made guitar and bass hardware, and the Guitarmory, custom pickups hand-wound in the USA. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome to part 3 of the Ibanez 7-string mod project. Today we are going to work on the neck, and this is going to be awesome, I promise you that. So the first thing that I did was using steel wool to get off that grime that was on the fretboard and to polish the frets. Pretty much straightforward. So if you watched the first episode, you probably remember that I said that I want to do an additional challenge and I wanted to change the inlays. So here I just measured the depth of the abalone inlays that I got from Crimson Guitars, and I marked off the drill bit so I wouldn't drill too deep. However, what I didn't know is that the plastic inlays by Ibanez are 1mm thicker than the ones I got from Crimson Guitars. So I ended up taking off that piece of tape and just being very careful. Always keep your workspace clean, helps you staying focused. Now, I have to admit, I didn't get the first 5 or so inlays properly out. So there was always some little wood chipping, so you can see me hopelessly trying to use that technique with the reverse drill bit to wiggle out your inlay, but that didn't work somehow. So I used a screwdriver, which wasn't a good idea because there it is. I used the fretboard to get leverage, but when doing that you're going to damage your fretboard. It didn't work on the second inlay either. It's not too bad, luckily. It's just one inlay. I think it's the 15th fret marker, which is absolutely horrible. Okay, so now here is the way to do it. So use a drill bit to drill a hole, but be very careful, because you have to go through the inlay piece but not into the fretboard wood. So you have to find the balance. You can actually hear when the drill bit starts to do a little or a different noise. You can actually hear that. So what I then did is put some water on the inlay and let that soak in. Then I took the drill bit, stuck it into the hole, and I started wiggling. And take your time for that. The inlay will come out eventually. Can you see how it's getting loose and sliding upwards very slowly? And there we go. So yeah, repeat that 12 times and you're good. There you can see the hole from the 15th fret, which is an absolute massacre. But yeah, at least now I know how to do it. So I gave it a good clean with a slightly wet towel, and I started masking off the back of the neck because now it is time to stain the fretboard. I've used the same stain than I did for the last project, and it just worked as brilliantly as it did. Now pay attention when masking off. Make sure to press down the tape with your fingernail, and if you do the job correctly, it will look like this, with no overspill and just a perfect straight line. Especially because the neck is also raw and could absorb the stain. Now it is time to mask off the fretboard because we want to stain the neck. So what you should always do first is test your stain on a spare sheet of wood, especially if it's a new stain and you have never tested it. This is Stunning Stains from Crimson Guitars, and I absolutely love these. Nice. They are water based, so they're non-toxic, and they just give you beautiful colors. All good? So clean your neck again with a slightly wet towel. Don't be afraid to get some moisture on there, because that will actually help the stain to go into the wood. So here we go. These stains give you very nice control over the shade of color that you're doing. So more is more, and that is very nice. So be careful on edges, like on the neck heel, as you can see. So there's a little build up. I wasn't too concerned about that because I wanted to give this neck a more antique look anyway. And guys, this neck is turning out absolutely amazing. I mean, it is just a boring 3-piece neck of a low budget Ibanez. With some brown stain and tung oil, this looks like a 2000 euro custom guitar almost. I mean, look at this. Now some of you may be like, that is fake and all that shit, but I don't care. What's fake about this? Tell me. I'm just working with the wood I have. I'm just staining it. Since that stain is water based, you can actually put on the oil like almost immediately after you've stained it. I've let it to sit for like an hour, and then I applied the first coat of tung oil, and man, does this look good. With the oil you get like a very soft satin shine, and it's just so good, and it's so smooth. I've done 3 coats in total, letting them sit for 24 hours before sanding them and doing the next coat. Yeah, so now it's time for our abalone inlays. So you can see me now polishing them with some 2500 grit sandpaper because they were very roughly sanded. Then I rounded off the lower edge of the inlays with some 240 grit sandpaper so they would slide in. I'm using some regular glue for hobby purposes. It's the U8 Spezialkleber, just in case you wanted to know. And of course I used way too much for the first one, so it's being squeezed out everywhere, like even a centimeter down on the fretboard. I don't know how it got there, but it was squeezed out there. You can see it now. I was concerned because those inlays were thinner than the original Ibanez inlays, so I want to make sure that this space is filled with glue, but it wasn't as much as I was thinking. So I gave it some gentle taps with the rounded back of a screwdriver so I won't damage the fretboard wood, and it just went in perfectly. And when it was flush, I just went over it with some steel wool and we were good. And to finish this off, I went over with some lemon oil, and this fretboard definitely looks better than new. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already to follow this series. I guess the next part is going to be putting on the veneer top onto the body and the headstock. Until then, take care and I'll see you then.